Well, hello everyone.
Hello, hello. Two
Hello.
Christmas trees in the background now.
It's here. It's finally here. I do have it is lit up. I was gonna say I do have another like little setup by my TV too. It's like on the I can't really explain it. It's like on the like ledge. So
Yeah,
you can't see it. It's cute though. It's got like little lights, little snow, like it's nice and
very
cute. But yes,
festive.
I am, I would say 90% of the way decorated with my house. I still have a couple of other things to do, but I keep looking at the calendar. It's December 7th. I need to hurry up with this. Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Christmas is right here. It's there. It's coming. And I got to tell you, Katie, I am not prepared. I don't have like any like gifts yet. Nothing is wrapped. I am just a frenzy right now.
Yeah,
So
I hear you. I hear you.
but it is that time of year. I cannot believe it's our first show in December, and we're moving
Yeah.
into week 18 of the NFL. College football has come to not a full end, but the regular season is an end. When we're looking forward to a couple of new Housewives franchises and seasons coming out, but whew, I can't believe where we are at this moment. But
Yeah.
we have a great episode for you guys today. To kick things off, we are going to reveal some poll results. So, as we do pretty much every episode, we poll our audience to ask you guys a couple questions in regards to football and housewives. We've got 3 questions for you. And a lot of you voted. Thank you on Instagram and Twitter. Obviously, feel free to chime in now if you're watching live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. So, the first question we asked you guys, as it stands today, do you think the Los Angeles Rams are a bottom 5 team? So this was pretty even here because 56% of you said yes. Katie, what are you thinking on this one?
I said no. And with this question, like for me, it is important not to just like give a blanket yes or no like answer, but to actually go into the standings, look at all 32 teams and like count on my fingers how many do I
Mm,
think like are, worse than the Rams. And I don't have them in the bottom five. I have them, on the cusp, like outside of the bottom five. Bottom five, I've got like in no particular order teams like Houston, Indy, Denver, Chicago, and Carolina. And then I think they fall just outside of the five around teams like the New Orleans Saints and the Arizona Cardinals. That's kind of where I'm placing the
mm.
Rams. And yeah, the Rams have like a worse record than some of the teams I just named, but I still feel like if I were to see the Rams on the schedule, like against the New York Giants, I'd be like, oh crap, like we're playing the Rams versus, oh, we're playing Carolina. Like we should win that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I still feel like you can't count them out. But yeah, they're definitely trending towards the bottom.
Yeah, so I'm going to agree with the majority here with the 56% saying yes, and I'll just, I'll counter you on that. I think over the last couple of weeks, they have turned into that logo you see on your schedule, and you're not particularly concerned. They're out of quarterback. We'll go into it later, but they got someone new coming in, which is definitely questionable to many. You're out guys like Cooper Cup. It just you're really hurting as an organization right now. We've always seen a Super Bowl slump, Katie. This might be one of the worst ones we've ever seen. They're not
Yeah.
scary in my opinion, and I'm gonna put them in the bottom five. Interestingly enough, though, I feel like my bottom five does fluctuate a little bit week after week because we're seeing certain things from some teams. You look at a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars, and like they're kind of like these past couple of weeks, maybe doing some spicy things. So like they're not there anymore. So maybe, who knows? We've got some football left to play. But for right now, just where they are in their current situation, it's not looking good. I'm going to keep them in that spot.
Okay, fair enough.
Alrighty. So as it stands today, do you think Dallas is a top 3 team?
Um,
Sorry. No.
go ahead.
Yeah. 77% of you said no.
Yeah, I agree with the majority on this one. Totally non-biased as a Giants fan.
Right.
But this is a similar thing of let me do my due diligence and like let me pull up the 32 teams and who do I think is better than Dallas right now. I have 3 definites that I like better than Dallas in no particular order. I like Philly, Kansas City, and Buffalo better than Dallas. And then I think Dallas kind of falls in this mix in no particular order. just outside of those top three teams, I feel like they fall in the mix with like Miami, San Fran, Cincinnati. You could even throw Minnesota, even though they get sketchy from time to time. They still got a 10-2 record. So I feel like Dallas falls in that mix where they're like just outside of the top three. I'm still way more terrified of Philly, Kansas City, and Buffalo.
Yeah, Katie, I 100% agree with you. I'm going with majority on this one too. No, I mean, they've showed us some great stuff over the last couple of weeks. But to me, you're right. I'm still very much more terrified. I mean, listen, the Giants played with them a little bit on Thanksgiving until it all went down to the shitter.
And they did in the Monday Night Football game at the beginning of the season that we went to. They were very much so in that game.
But it's just a completely. I went into Thanksgiving optimistic. Katie, I would go into a game against Dallas tomorrow still a little optimistic. I do not want to play Philly.
Whereas,
on
like,
Sunday.
we're playing Philly this weekend,
and I just
like, oh man, like Sunday's gonna suck.
I want nothing. I want nothing to do with it. Like I just want to like skip the week, just cancel Sunday, just completely cancel it. So that's kind of where like. You're right. There is no bias being in the NFC East, but given that we have been able to play them twice, watch our, other rivals play them already, like that's kind of where my mindset is at. There's other teams that I just don't even want to touch at this point.
Yeah.
All right. And then finally, all right, we're going to talk about some little Ronacy legacy here. Do you think Leah McSweeney should be included in the Roni legacy cast?
We've talked about this a little bit before, kind of like who would we like to see that's not already, rumored or confirmed to be a part of that. Who would we like to see added? And I know we've talked about Tinsley before. I'm going to say yes on this. I did say yes on this. And what was our results, by the way?
We got 58% said yes. So you are agreeing with the majority.
I think Leah needs a redemption story because I've said this before on our show that I feel as though it still stands. I believe she had the best rookie season of any housewife across any franchise, like in Housewives history. And then just like how we kind of refer to it in football terms, I've never seen someone have a sophomore slump like that. I do feel like we need we can't leave things off with Leah that way. She was such a like bright and shining star immediately off the bat, and I want a redemption story for her. I want to see her come back and be the Leah that we love. I know in her second season, she talked a lot about the fact that her grandmother had just passed away and she was dealing with a lot, and that kind of affected how she was acting. So I feel like let's get her back. Let's get her in a good place and let's enjoy her again. Like she definitely made us all laugh, and I'd love to see her on the screen again.
I agree. 100% agree with you. Yep, I'm going with majority here as well with the yes. So.
All right.
Yep. So thank you guys so much for voting in our polls. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter right now. So if you guys have any commentary on the poll questions, you have any other questions for us, any just general commentary, go ahead and submit it in. We'll talk to you live throughout the show. And I forgot to mention earlier, my wine glass is festive. It says slay all day on it, and there's a sled on it.
Yes, queen.
Love it. Slay. Let's get some snow so we can actually go outside and go sledding.
Oh, man. Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of ready for it.
I'm going to be in South Carolina next week, so I'm really hoping for some warm weather.
I don't know. I'm kind of ready for the snow now. Now that we're getting close to Christmas, let's go. Bring it on.
All right. Well, let's get into our big stories of the week in the world of football. We do want to start with NFL quick hot topics. Lots of very spicy things to discuss, especially at the quarterback position. So on Saturday, the Rams placed quarterback Matthew Stafford on IR with a spinal cord contusion, meaning that he would miss at least 4 games. However, on Sunday, head coach Sean McVay told reporters that Stafford will likely be out for the remainder of the year, which people feel they feel like it kind of makes sense. Play it safe with him because they do have a 3-9 record. They're
right.
If they were still playing for like playoff hopes, then they'd try to rush him to get him back. But the fact that they're at 3-9 right now, I feel like they're just, shutting him down for the year. So with that being said, on Monday, the Carolina Panthers released quarterback Baker Mayfield, which came at his request after he learned that the team was moving forward with Sam Darnold as QB1 and that PJ Walker was going to be the backup. He was going to be QB2.
What a dumpster fire Carolina is.
Honestly, but also, I just truly feel like that wasn't what crossed my, like, when it crossed my mind first is what a dumpster fire Carolina is. I was like, what a dumpster fire Baker Mayfield's young career already is. So
I got a lot of opinions about that. And clearly I was wrong going into this season because I picked him as comeback player of the year. I am wrong.
I feel like, yes, you did pick him as comeback player of the year. I feel like I've always been even more so than you being like, I think Baker is a good quarterback. Like we've seen him win.
Yeah.
Like, I thought his critics were a little too harsh. Like I felt like he was deserving enough to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League.
He's strictly a back. This move makes him a backup for life, in my opinion.
Well, to be honest with you, though, I still feel like Sam Darnold's situation, even though he's going to be QB1 with them, I feel like his career is over as a starter. I feel like Baker's career is over. These young guys, like, they're just, it's like they don't have patience for them anymore, which is why, like, I really do constantly go back to the Giants situation with Daniel Jones. Like, we're seeing what's happening with Zach Wilson. Like, he's in danger of having the same thing happen to him.
I'm content.
What the Giants have done with Daniel Jones in allowing him to make mistakes, allowing him to learn his way, and instead of just giving up on him, really trying to build around him and constantly give him pieces. And they've admitted in the past, like, we didn't do a good job of that. Like, and we need to try and let this kid have the best opportunity to win. Baker turning into a journeyman while Daniel Jones is ascending is irony. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So
preach. But I'll take that. I'll take that irony. And you know what? This is what pisses me off, Katie, so much about this situation, because I think what the Giants are doing is absolutely correct. You're giving him that room to make those errors, but you also give him a timeline. He had to fix so much stuff. And now he's still making some errors, but he's actually progressing so well. Like we just saw that post. He's ascending and we're seeing some good things. People are already are talking about how much of a bust or bad, pick that was, in the draft, Daniel Jones. Don't even bring that to the table when we are looking at guys like Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson. Get out of here. Daniel Jones is not even in that conversation, in my opinion, with what we've seen so far.
I almost want to like just make like a rule where like if you draft a quarterback, like let's say in the top 10, I almost want to be like you're forced to give them 3 full years as a starting quarterback before you're able to move on from them. Like I just don't. This league is just like win now, and it just doesn't happen.
Or just that. Quarterback like
honestly, sometimes it does. But let's look at somebody like Josh Allen, who is arguably one of the best, maybe top 3 players in the NFL right now. He didn't have a bad rookie season, but he didn't do anything that was like made you suspect he was going to be the player that he is right now. Practice a little bit of patience, people. My God.
But you just have to I always make the joke, read a book, people. Literally crack the history books open here. Look at some of your greatest quarterbacks of all time. You look at a guy like Aaron Rodgers. You look at Eli Manning, who had his run with the New York Giants.
Had an atrocious rookie season.
But some people didn't even play their rookie season. Yeah. They sat. They took time. They went into Patrick Mahomes was behind Alex Smith. I'll always that is one of my fondest memories of this podcast, Katie. Is that was one of the first things we spoke about.
Aaron Rodgers sat for multiple seasons behind Brett Favre.
You just need to everyone just needs to pump the brakes and chill because you throw these kids and the transition too, and not a lot of people understand this too. The transition from college to NFL is massive. It is a huge, you're getting guys. Yeah, of course, linemen in college are massive kids, but you're getting guys now in their 30s that are 400 pounds. You've got guys that are pass rushers that are coming. They're coming at you and they're going to eat you up and they have no sympathy.
You've got pass rushers that are running 4.5 40s at the combine. And they are literally, 250 pounds moving that quickly. It's insane.
Yeah, this is actually a really good point here too. Crack open a book. Phil Simms literally would have been really.
We can go crack a book. You can go back in time. You could go back in history, and yes, there's so many guys you can look at that after 2 years, teams now would just have scrapped them and thrown them away in the garbage, and then they would have become a journeyman situation where it's you're getting somebody's sloppy seconds. It tarnishes their career. That's why I'm worried for Zach Wilson and what's happening with the New York Jets is it's going to be hard to come back from this. It really will be. But anyways, let's go on because we're not done with this here. Yesterday it was announced that the Rams, and we talked about, we just said Matthew Stafford, what's going on with him. They actually claimed Baker Mayfield off of waivers. He will now join John Wolford, who's been playing with Stafford out, and Bryce Perkins in the quarterback room. I have no idea what their game plan is for this weekend. My assumption is John Wolford still. Maybe it came out already. I'm not sure. But I mean, Baker Mayfield has to come in and learn the playbook, and he can't do that in 2 days.
No.
Okay, so on Sunday, more crazy quarterback news, and this is a really crappy situation because this team had, they're not the 3-9 Rams. They have actual Super Bowl potential. But on Sunday, San Fran quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo suffered a broken foot that will require season-ending surgery. The injury happened at the beginning of the first quarter, and he was replaced by rookie Brock Purdy, aka Mr. Irrelevant, which
Mr. Irrelevant,
the very last pick in the NFL draft. And you know what? He had a pretty good game.
He didn't do bad. No.
He did enough to not only play a pretty good game, but he led the team to a really good 33-17 win over an extremely tough Miami opponent.
Yeah.
So I don't know what San Fran's plan is. Once the Baker Mayfield release news came out and he was not with the Rams yet, people were like, is San Fran going to call him? Apparently San Fran did not put any kind of claim in on waivers, and they have since signed, San Fran has since signed Denver practice squad quarterback Josh Johnson, who actually has spent time with the 49ers during his career.
That makes sense.
So he's not new to them. And, my husband is a Niners fan.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks because you do have Super Bowl potential. So maybe you do want to try to bring in a veteran presence if you could to just do what they have to do to get you there. But I said to him, I was like, you did draft the kid. I know that it was the last pick in the NFL draft, but you don't want to waste draft picks.
Right.
So you might as well see what he's got. And he did play well enough. I think maybe this weekend, seeing him in a full game, maybe it's going to be more telling up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's a decent opponent. So we'll see, but bad news there in San Fran, and bad news for the Rams too. And Matthew Stafford, you hate to see.
Yeah, a lot of my predictions for this year are really going out the window. So had San Fran going to Super Bowl. So
and update too, Lamar Jackson, he also was hurt in his game on Sunday. He came out. He looks as though he will be missing. He could potentially play this weekend. They haven't ruled that out. If he does miss time, it's going to be anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks, but I feel like it's going to be on the lesser end. So we'll keep you on that as well.
Yeah.
One last thing, speaking of injury-wise, this is not with quarterbacks. This broke earlier today. Pass rusher for the Buffalo Bills, Von Miller, he is in fact out for the season. So they had placed him on an IR. Things weren't looking too hopeful, and now it is official that he will be out. So that is a huge loss for the Bills team, and sucks for Von Miller because he wasn't even sure if he was going to come back this year.
I know.
Retire, and to come back and maybe make I don't know if this was going to be his final run at it. It's very disappointing, very sad.
Yeah, I guess now you definitely have to put that into perspective.
Right. Do you want to put in the work it takes to really rehab and come back? And
or even just it just sucks. Right now, even if he just has to do that just to go on with his life, I'm how many years old and I got to rehab, you know what I mean? It just it sucks, but we'll see. All right. So week 13 was another doozy, and I just cannot, week after week, Katie.
I know.
It's something else. Starting with Washington and New York. This was a absolute nightmare of a game. Like,
Yeah.
these are literally like your anxiety follows you into your dreams at night, and you think of the weirdest things, like you're late for class but you haven't been in high school in 10 years, like you the stupidest things you dream of. This was it. This is a nightmare.
This is one where you stay awake at night and you think of all the missed opportunities.
Yeah, and I have been, and it's like, this is like worst case scenario. So we went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We ended overtime. The New York Giants, Washington, in a 20-20 tie after a missed 58-yard game-winning field goal by Graham Gano. And what is even worse, Katie, is that these teams have now been flexed in 2 weeks to Sunday Night Football. You know I'm pissed about this because I hate Sunday Night Football. I hate all primetime games because I like to go to bed at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So then now, but it's so annoying. And I know why the NFL flexed it, because they're little like sneaky little bees. They saw that we tied and they're like, oh, this game's going to mean something. So now I have to stay awake. I have to be fully alert.
Yeah.
And I just can't. And I don't know. So
I'm not looking forward to it. Obviously, I can't believe we're going into week 14 and we still have to play Philly twice.
No.
We've got to play this freaking, now Sunday Night Football game against Washington in 2 weeks. And I just feel like we're in for, I'm feeling like we're in for some misery. Like, I'm really not looking forward to it.
And it sucks too. Talk about wild. The Washington is on their bye this week, so they had the Giants by Giants. That is like
Crazy.
What, and
Crazy.
they're coming back like refreshed, and they're like, we tied this team, now we got to kick their ass. It's going to be a really tough game. So, but what a game. Honestly, it is. You lie awake at night, and the Giants could have locked it in multiple times in 4 quarters. So it's just very frustrating for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so Baltimore quarterback Tyler Huntley replaced Lamar Jackson. We spoke about earlier. He did go out injured. He did lead the team to a game-winning touchdown drive to beat Denver 10-9. So that's good. But I mean, listen, 10-9 over Denver. Baltimore definitely could do a lot better than that.
Yeah.
So despite a 27-14 win over Houston, Cleveland's quarterback Deshaun Watson return was shaky. And guess what, Deshaun? You deserve it. So that's what you get from me there.
The double birds. For those of you not viewing and just listening, the double birds just came out.
You get it, you stupid MFer. So 12 for 22, 131 yards, one beautiful interception in the end zone. You love to see it. And a 53.4 passer rating.
Side note, by the way, this was won by the defense.
Yeah.
I picked up Cleveland's defense for the weekend in fantasy football.
No, so did my boyfriend, and
I don't know how crazy things get in the leagues you're in with defense and points.
They had 30. I played Cleveland's defense, so
50.
I played the person who had Cleveland's defense, and that is the only reason why they won. I'm telling you now. Oh, so you literally had the same mindset. So yes, so my boyfriend picked up and he won because based off that. Like, honestly, all you Cleveland defensors, screw you. You ruined me.
It's like you hear those stats from Deshaun Watson and you're like, had the team win this game like by a pretty good margin, and it was legitimately defense and special teams. Like, it was unbelievable.
Oh my God, but wild to see that for sure. Yeah. I was so pissed. All right, Seattle's quarterback Geno Smith hit wide receiver DK Metcalf for a late touchdown to edge their rival, the Rams, 27-23. Dallas scored 33 points in the fourth quarter to beat the Colts 54-19. Holy crap. So I'm on this streak right now with primetime games.
Yeah.
where I go, and it's logical. I should be writing it down, like literally journaling it or like going live on social media every time. Katie, every primetime game, I've gone to bed at like halftime or the third quarter. And since after I go to bed, only 1 point is scored after, like one either field goal or things like that.
Yeah.
It's a thing. So the Colts weren't far behind. And I was going to bed feeling pretty chipper. I wake up the next morning and I was like, what the hell? 33 points. So my streak is now over. I thought I was going to bed feeling good.
No, they burst that bubble.
They really did. Like the Colts, like what the hell? That sucked.
Yeah.
And then a wild Monday night, we've got Tampa Bay. They came back over the New Orleans Saints. Tom Brady threw for 2 late touchdowns, and they beat them 17-16. You know, New Orleans, you can't blow that lead. And Tom Brady.
Especially because it's still really any team's race in that division in the NFC South. So New Orleans really needed that one, and they were unfortunately not able to put it away. So, that already gives like the Tampa Bay, who's sitting in first place right now, gives them more of an advantage. But like I said, that division is still up for grabs. So it's going to get real interesting. And those divisional games, like when we see them now going forward, they're going to have huge implications. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, speaking about going forward, let's look into week 14. We're going to give you our picks plus 1 lock and 1 upset. Caitlin, why don't you kick us off this week?
All righty. So moving into Thursday night football, I'm going with the Raiders. Going to Sunday's slate, I have Buffalo, Cincinnati, Dallas, Detroit, Tennessee, Philly. There's nothing I can do there, people. The Steelers, Kansas City, the 49ers, Seattle, Miami, and wrapping the week up Monday Night Football with the New England Patriots. My lock is the Dallas Cowboys over the Katie. I just realized this today. I had no idea Houston was 1-10 bad. I didn't realize the record was that bad. I knew they sucked. I didn't know it was that bad. So that is my lock. And if that game is like 65-0, I wouldn't be surprised. So, and then my upset is the Detroit Lions over the Minnesota Vikings. You got a divisional game there. Lions looking good, Minnesota looking good, but also kind of shady at points. So I'm actually hoping that one's a good game. So
I'm going to give you a fun fact about that game. I didn't used to do this in the past, but now doing these picks and like especially doing the lock and the upset, I have been like going into lines and trying to figure out like everything. Detroit is actually favored in that Detroit Minnesota game, which I find shocking. It's like by a small margin, but I can't believe that. Like that's how people feel about Detroit, like on the up and up right now.
Well, and I'm pretty sure sometimes too, like with all of the betting, like Vegas is trying to like get people to like bite a little bit.
Yeah, it could change.
They were doing that with one of the Giants games. They were, I think they favored like the Texans over us.
Well, they kept having the Giants, even though with whatever record, like they kept having them as the underdog.
Yeah, but I think and it just they like make you bite. So like as much as like if you guys could definitely go with that, but I'm telling you that's still an upset.
I mean, look at the records. Like that's a lot of disrespect to Minnesota at 10-2. I know, honestly. Like All right, well, Kate, we only have 2 games different.
Okay, all right.
Crazy.
And that might be our most similar this season, I think.
Yeah. I feel like we started off like early in the year, like very similar. Last couple of weeks, maybe different, but I know last week we had a ton different. I'm just pulling something up real quick. Yeah, we have a lot of teams on the bye this week.
We do, yes.
I was not expecting this many teams, but
my whole fantasy. Fantasy
this
for
is
me,
very
shit.
important for fantasy because this is like crunch time now.
I'm so screwed.
Bye weeks: Atlanta, Chicago, Green Bay, Indy, New Orleans, and Washington. So
Yes.
we've got 6 teams on the bye here. But yeah, you and I
Yeah.
were very similar on these picks, only 2 different. So,
All right.
with that being said, in week 14, I'm going with Las Vegas, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Dallas, Minnesota, Jacksonville, Philly, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, San Fran, Seattle, Miami, and New England.
All
My
right.
lock is also the Dallas Cowboys over the Houston Texans. And my upset is going to be a divisional game here, the Jacksonville Jaguars over the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I went back and forth with that one, to be honest. But there's something about Tennessee going into the end of the year that I do like them. They spike up a little bit. And then Jacksonville at this point, really, I don't think they have much to lose. So
well, damn, like our last show, I talked up Jacksonville big time. I was
did.
Like, don't sleep on Jacksonville. They're coming. And then they shit the bed over the weekend. So remember what I told you guys about like, don't trust this bee? Like, don't listen to what I say.
I got to post that meme still. I have it.
Don't listen to me, people. I don't know what, like, I like to think, I think I know what I'm talking about, but clearly sometimes I've proven
it. You know what, Katie? I think these last 2 seasons in the NFL, specifically this one, every analyst, every person that does a podcast, every person that tweets about football is probably like, what the hell is going? I don't know. They're like, I don't know anything about sports. Sports out the window. Don't know it. Right. Not me. I don't know a thing. All righty. Well, we're going to come back to football with our game later. We've got a really interesting one for you guys as we're going in this final stretch. So we've got a good game later. Let's get into our big stories of the week for housewives. So we've got some legal drama.
Don't we always?
Legal drama llama. This time it's with Joe and Melissa Gorga. They have been sued over unpaid building materials. This past week, reports came out that the Gorgas are being sued over unpaid building materials for their new home that was just built that they're posting all over social media. So the kicker there. The lawsuit, which was filed in October, claims Joe did not pay his contractors after completing the work for the house. In November, Melissa accepted the legal complaint from a sheriff at their Franklin Lakes home. Per the documents, it states that between September 2021 and January 2022, materials were provided to them, but those materials were utilized for various construction projects. The value of those materials estimated to be $30,000. After Joe got these materials, he reportedly ghosted the company after they attempted various routes to obtain payment for him before taking legal action. So I got to tell you, Katie, I am not surprised. We have seen that one video came out with like Joe Gorga like a couple months ago where that guy said he didn't pay him for something. That's my red flag number one. And then we've like just heard like shady things about them. Apparently, Jennifer said something at BravoCon like in relation to this, like that they don't pay.
I think it was on one of the reunions where Jennifer basically was like, the Gorgas like don't pay anybody for this stuff,
right?
And said like, and everybody knows it. So I do feel like, honestly, hearing this story, like now,
I'm not surprised.
It kind of like brings those things back into light, and it makes you feel like, okay, that wasn't just Jennifer talking shit. I think there might actually be some truth behind all this. Yeah.
So like, I'm not particularly surprised. I think what is funny though, is that like I said earlier, like they're posting all over social media to this day. I think Melissa posted something today about the house. Like they won't stop. And now like there's a lawsuit like out there. Like it's literally stop.
Well, I would be like, okay, you're ghosting me. You're literally on your phone right now posting this house on your freaking Instagram. Like, that's you have your phone in your hand. Like,
that is a huge thing now, like with police reports and things like that. Like social media is used in so many different things. So like, that's why I'm saying like, they're dumbasses sometimes. Like, stop what you're doing. Like she could have posted something and they could have been like, hey, we gave you that tile or something. That's just so dumb. That's evidence. Like, don't be stupid. Like, stop.
I feel like, New Jersey, especially like northern New Jersey, like sometimes they get this bad rap and there's this stereotype out there. And I feel like the Real Housewives of New Jersey, I felt like more so in the early seasons, maybe now, so like now with this kind of stuff, it's like you guys are kind of like bringing that to light a little bit and making people like truly believe like, okay, yeah, that's like a typical, whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's a lot of sketchiness but again, we've heard like rumblings in the past and I love the Gorgas. So like maybe part of me just didn't want to believe it, or me just think like people are just talking shit because they're pissed, like whatever. But hearing something like this, you're like, okay, you know what? This is an actual legitimate lawsuit. Like, this isn't Jennifer talking shit. This is someone being like, you owe me money, and now I'm taking legal action.
Well, anytime like money is involved, like I do side on the person, because you have to show like evidence and receipts, basically. Receipts, literally, like literal receipts,
the
but then
receipts,
also
people.
like keep your receipts, because it's true. I mean, like obviously, like when someone like files a lawsuit and there's allegations, like a lot of stories, he said, she said, yeah, like of course. But with something like this, like if you're claiming someone stole material money for you, like you got to have your shit backed up with that. Like that's not like,
oh yeah, and they will. They're going to come and they're going to be like, here's proof that I reached out to this person on this date and this date and this date and this date, and no response, no response, no response.
No.
So
yeah. Crazy.
Ooh, yeah, definitely.
Legal drama alarm.
Let's get into our second story of the week in the world of housewives. This is a fun one. We are going to talk about some housewives secrets. So on Sunday, an article was published by ScreenRant.com revealing the 10 biggest secrets from the Real Housewives production team. A lot of these were like new and brought to light, a lot of them at BravoCon, actually, because I definitely know at the first BravoCon that we went to that they had a panel with the producers, and they were that was the purpose of kind of like revealing some behind the scene things. So a lot of these are just being brought to light now, and some fun things that we learned from the production team are the following. So they did deem Real Housewives of Atlanta's Kenya Moore as one of the most honest housewives, someone who doesn't try to hide the downfalls of her relationship, very open and honest about, maybe some of the not so pretty things going on in her life. A man, I think out of everything, this one shocked me the most. So a man was almost, and this was confirmed by Andy Cohen in 2019, that a man was almost cast for the Real Housewives of New Jersey one year as a potential house husband. Now, not as like, Melissa and Joe Gorga's the house husband. Like, yes, we have the house husbands, whatever, but was going to actually be cast as their, own single person as a main cast member.
I need to know who this person. I
can't wrap my head around that, but apparently when I was reading this, this has been like whispering and talks for years to potentially form a house husband. I just feel like this is unnecessary, because I feel like, especially now with the last couple of years, I do believe, especially on New Jersey, I think we see it a lot on Salt Lake City, they're involving the husbands more and more and more. And we are seeing some of them, do the confessionals, interviews. So I don't feel like it would be necessary.
Just keep it the way it is, because then when you bring a house husband into it, you're going to have to change it to the Real House people of New Jersey.
Well, I just like I'm saying, I feel like we have house husbands already anyways. So
we do. And if you want to do a spinoff with the men of New Jersey, cool. I'll watch that. That'll get more viewers than probably actually New Jersey.
You're right. Like, I feel like if they're really interested in something like that, it should be a spinoff thing on its own.
Right. I need to know who this person was that they're targeting.
I know, right? Like
who the hell in New Jersey were they going after?
I don't know. And like, is this house husband just supposed to constantly like go on the cast trips with just the women and him? And like, how does this work?
I'm trying to find that
Okay,
out.
so I thought this was interesting because like it's something I haven't thought of before. Like, who would I pick? But um, basically, you have your confessional looks, and each woman gets 3 confessional looks for the entire season. And producers, kind of giving their opinions on it, felt that Roni's Dorinda Medley had the best confessional looks. So honestly, I can't think of her looks off the top of my head. It's been a hot minute since we've seen Roni. Been a hot minute since Dorinda's been on
Yeah.
Roni. I have to say, when we went to BravoCon and we saw her in person, and she was wearing this bright lavender like suit,
I need to get that suit.
she looked freaking amazing. Her
Yeah.
makeup, her hair, like she was gorgeous.
She looks
So
great.
yes, I think Dorinda doesn't get enough credit for like how stylish she is and how beautiful she is.
Yeah, and I think like when I read this one in particular, I was trying to think back to some of the outfits, but mainly what I thought of was just her like pure like aesthetic like beauty, because
Yeah,
you see what some of the women try to do with their hair, whether it's like up in a big pony, they're wearing
she is a
extensions.
lot more natural.
They're wearing extensions. If they have short hair, they're wearing like a headband. They're doing in their confessionals. And I think we read they're only allowed to have like 2 or 3 looks in their confessionals. Like,
That's what they
so
say.
clearly they go all out, and like we see these women like look like batshit crazy. A lot of them. She very much now like that's what I took from it. Like she kept it to what she looks like. Dorinda has had that short hair her entire time. Like that's her signature like look. Like that's like she's got
And
that short blonde hair. Like she doesn't do anything crazy, like makeup wise. Like she's just like very
like
pretty.
that understated glam.
Yeah,
Like,
I think that's a great way to say it. So that's kind of what I thought, because I'm trying to think of like her outfits, but I think now that I'm like looking back and like I'll like go on like her Instagram or something, she's very stylish. I think
yeah,
she's chic. She knows what she's. I mean,
huge.
I guess her only
Absolutely.
questionable outfit was the the Lady Gaga bubbles when she got super wasted, so, which was
So
still
funny.
iconic. I want to be
Yeah,
that one year.
yeah. This one we've definitely heard before because like every year you always hear fans be like, "Oh my God, add this celebrity as this, to this franchise." But there is a specific do not hire list of celebrities who they do not want on Housewives. I'm
Yeah.
sure that is a running list. Um, Two of the biggest scenes Housewives have tried to have completely deleted and not aired on the show was Denise Richards trying to not have her storyline about her and Brandy
Yeah.
revealed. And then the one with Teresa not wanting footage of Joe Judice calling her bad names, which I think probably specifically refers to that awful scene when they were like at that winery and he took that phone
Oh.
call with which seemed like he was clearly speaking to another woman and just straight up calling his wife a bee like
Yeah.
and I think and I get that because I think that scene in particular would be really painful for her daughters to like watch their fathers speak
Mhm.
about their mother that way. So that's really upsetting. But of course, obviously, like as much as you want and as bad as it's, going to come out, you cannot have these scenes deleted. They do not do that.
Yep.
However, scenes do in fact have reshoots for lighting issues or technical difficulties. So if you see like a sit down, discussion or confrontation, it might be the second go around of kind of
That's dumb, in
rebooting
my
that conversation.
opinion.
Yeah.
That's stupid. You know what I think they should do,
I know with
honestly?
phone calls specifically, like too, like they do that a lot when they're talking to each other on the phone.
I think that's it's like my thought process on that. And like, I'm not like a tech person in any way, shape, or form. Like, I have no videographer like experience, but like, so these people are probably like, you're an idiot if they're listening to us. But like, you should have like, I don't know, like a camera just set up like doing like a live like shoot, like a live shoot. So you have like, yes, like producers and like cameras there, but like, so if something fails on their part, have like a real live footage, like a cell phone camera. Think about how much stuff
I guess
films.
that also changes the aesthetic of the show because obviously they don't do that kind of footage. You know what I mean?
I know. I just like, I just feel like it's,
I
I don't
know
know.
it makes it feel not authentic, but what you at least hope what happens if these women sit down and they have an entire conversation and then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, the mics weren't working or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
I'd be like, F that.
To have to repeat that scene. Hopefully they just keep it like word for word and keep it as true to the original conversation as it was.
I wouldn't be able to do that because like
I know.
I don't even know what I say half the time. I'd be like, all right, I forgot what I told you 5 minutes ago. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I literally have no clue.
But yes, those were our juicy little production housewives secrets. So those were
it's a lot of good behind the scenes stuff. Some stuff we've known already, but it's definitely good to see that. And I do like when they come out with that from like some time to time. So
yeah.
All right, let's get into our game. We are playing one of our favorites, buy or sell, but we are playing the buy or sell version, stay the same or make a change. So on Monday, Katie's best friend, Adam Shine, wrote an article for NFL.com where he made 9 takes that won't change in the NFL's final stretch. So that means that he's making a statement and he thinks it will, when we're done, it still remains the same.
Yep.
So they will not change. So we are going to say his statements and then we're going to tell you if we're buying or selling them. So, and again, we are buying or selling the facts that they will not change in the coming weeks.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So like I said, we have 9 scenarios here. So first one, Buffalo is the team to beat in the AFC.
This was like we started off with the most 50-50 split for me on this first statement.
One was freaking tough.
So I'm going to have to buy it. And I'm mainly giving the slight edge to the buy because Buffalo was my pick to win the Super Bowl. And I'm going to stick by that. But I personally think Kansas City is a very, very close second. But I am going to buy this, that Buffalo is the team to beat in the AFC.
So I am going to sell it. So I will contradict you here. And I'm going to go with Kansas City. I would even look at a team like Miami. So, but with Kansas City and Miami, last week we got to see them on the losing end of things. They're getting beat out. You're seeing where their weaknesses are. Buffalo has already shown us their weaknesses throughout this season. They kind of show you every so often. So for that matter, I think it took up until last week to see some major weaknesses from Kansas City. So I'm going to give them that little edge there. So I'm going to sell this and say it's gonna be Kansas City near the end.
All right.
Number 2, the NFC race goes through Philly. They will be the number 1 seed at the end of this.
Unfortunately, I'm going to buy this. I just don't think I guess Minnesota has the second closest record right now, that 10-2. But look at how people feel about Minnesota, that Detroit is favored over them this weekend. Mm-hmm. I don't think people are super duper threatened by them. And I feel like Philly has built a good enough record and a strong enough lead that it would be very difficult for them to lose the number 1 seed at this point. I'm buying it.
Yep, I'm buying it as well. It's a painful buy. It kind of just digs at your
It is
heart.
What it is. Honestly, weeks ago, I was like, the Giants are not playing for the NFC East title. They're playing to get a wild card spot.
No.
So
yeah, and that's fine. And if some weird miracle they're playing for the NFC, I don't know physically how it's possible, but technically it is still possible. Yeah. I think it is. You're right. It's an acceptance. You've accepted and moved on. But I mean, you got to look at it, and you're right. They've built this path so far, and they're just so far down it. They could even lose probably their next couple of games, Katie, and they're still so freaking far down that path where everyone else is not. So, all right. So we just said that the NFC race goes through Philly, but number 3 is that the Cowboys can beat the Eagles.
I'm buying this. And why not? It says can be. Dallas is capable. We just, we told you guys at the beginning of the show, asking you if Dallas is a top 3 team. Like, we ask you this because I think on NFL.com's power rankings right now, I think they do have Dallas in the top 3. So, yeah, a top 3 team could beat the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm buying this.
Yeah, I'm buying it as well. Listen, as much as, Philly has like I said, ran down their path and they have really made a way, they've been in some close games. They lost to Washington, and it's a team like Dallas that is just really bullying teams at this point.
Yeah.
We've really yet to see a stretch to where Philly's actually bullying people. And Dallas can come in and they could. And again, you're right. It's a matter of can they beat them? Yes, 100%. So buying that.
Yep.
All right, moving on to number 4. The 49ers boast the NFL's best defense.
I'm buying this. They're first in total yards allowed per game. They're up there in the turnover differential. Obviously, they're great at getting sacks. I do believe they have the best defense. Yes, I'm buying it.
I am buying it as well, but I'm giving my little asterisk to just keep a close eye on Dallas because they are very, very good on defense as well.
Honestly, I feel like Philly's defense has been just as good, if not better than Dallas. So that sucks to say as well.
It does. Honestly, it does. It's just like, it's horrifying. But hey, I mean, all right, the job, we already did Dallas twice, so we're over that hump. It's just okay. It's out the door. It's okay. All right, number 5. The Bengals are winning the AFC North.
This is a tough one. I'm going to sell this, but I really want to state that I think Cincinnati, and I'm going with like Baltimore, by the way, to win the AFC North. I think Cincinnati is much better than Baltimore, but they're 8-4, and so is Baltimore. And Cincinnati's remaining schedule is significantly tougher than Baltimore's. Cincinnati, the rest of their schedule is Cleveland, Tampa Bay, New England, Buffalo, and Baltimore. That's difficult. I think both of them finished with an 11-6 record, but I think Baltimore wins the tiebreak with a better divisional record. Like, Baltimore right now is 2-0 in the division, and Cincinnati is 1-3, and I think that's going to come back to bite Cincinnati in the ass.
Yeah, so I'm gonna buy this one mainly off of last weekend with Lamar Jackson. Still very up in the air, very questionable. If he goes this weekend, is he at 100%? Katie, is he at 100% for the rest of the season? I don't know. And that really can derail them. That's exactly what happened last season. We saw him not doing so great, his team falling apart, that derailment there. So we could see a repeat of the 2021 season. And the Bengals, they're on a turn right now. It's unfortunate because if they didn't lose those first couple of games, Katie, they would have been walking away with this. They would have been the Eagles.
They're playing much different football than they were at the beginning of the season. And now they're looking like the Cincinnati team that made it to the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, and honestly, like, it sucks that they have to play catch up, but they're doing what they have to do to catch up as much as they can.
They'll be in the playoffs, and they could definitely make some noise. So
so I'll take them to win the AFC North.
All right.
All right, number 6, Patrick Mahomes is the league MVP.
Buying it. First in passing yards, first in touchdowns, 30 touchdowns to just 8 interceptions. He's not turning the ball over. First in QBR rating, it's Patrick Mahomes.
You know what? I'm just going to sell it because I'm being grumpy about this. I hate they just give it to a quarterback year after year, and it's so annoying. Let's look at other people. I'm giving it to Tyreek Hill. Let's go. Let's get another position into the MVP spot. You know what's annoying too, Katie? They do it in the Super Bowl. Other people win. We saw Cooper Kupp get it last year. You see other people. Why can't they just do it for the league too? Look at other people. It's not like, oh my God. That's why they put so much pressure on these quarterbacks. That's what it's all about. It's all about that. So you know what? No, I'm saying sell it and give it to someone else. So Tyreek Hill. Number 7, Mike White is the guy for these Jets.
How can Adam Shine say this? I'm selling it. Like, I don't
because he's an idiot.
I don't feel like I really need to discuss this much. Do I agree with what they did with Zach Wilson? No. Does that mean I think Zach Wilson was the guy? No. I don't think they have their franchise quarterback on their football team right now. It's not Mike White. I'm selling this.
I'm selling it too. He's not the answer. If you're done with Zach Wilson, cool. Get someone in the draft next year. Like,
Yeah.
enough. Don't be stupid.
Crazy.
All right. Number 8. Vegas will be tough down the stretch.
I'm going to sell this. I still feel like, I expected Vegas to be good. We
Right.
expected them to be a really scary, potential playoff team this season. And they were just so bad. And I know that they've been picking it up a little bit lately,
Right.
but I still feel like, I don't know. I'm just, at this point, what I've seen so far from them this season, I'm not scared of them. I'm selling it.
I'm going to sell it too. Right now, I see them best maybe going 8-9. That's their record for the end of the season. And in my opinion, is that really like a huge advantage, especially in the AFC, when the AFC East is actually pretty strong too? And there's still talks of sending all 4 of them, all 4 of us in the NFC East.
Yeah.
To me, that's not a huge advantage, being that your best case scenario near the end of the
Right.
season. So I'm going to sell it. All right, and then number 9, we got another tough down the stretch, but this time it's the Detroit Lions. Katie, will they be tough down the stretch?
I'm going to buy this, but not buying it saying that like they're going to be a playoff team, because they're not. Their record is too far gone, I think.
Right.
But I'm buying it in that like it sucks for teams who are fighting for playoff spots if you've got to play Detroit in this
Because they'll beat you
season, because unfortunately this is like last year where they're just better than their record, and they got to get it together quicker at the beginning of the season, and like not in the second half. But they are looking scary. This is a team that could, surprisingly, the offense is putting up a crap ton of points, and like we said earlier, they're favored over the 10-2 Minnesota Vikings this weekend. People are afraid of them. People are buying into them, believing in them. They are a tough team to play at this point in the season.
Yeah, I'm buying it as well. And listen, at best, they win their next 4 games, but they potentially could win out in 5. So that's, like you said, for teams that are still fighting, Detroit's not done fighting, and they could potentially screw you over in your playoff hopes. So,
yep. All right. Well, that was a good game. Crazy to think that we've just got, a couple more weeks of the regular season. So all of these things moving forward are super, substantial and game changing and season changing. And so we'll see how, especially the playoff race, shakes up. But let's get to the point in our night where we get it off our chest. Positive, negative, football, housewives, life, wine, December, Christmas, Caitlin wanting snow already. Oh my God, no, please no. Why don't you kick it off?
All right, so this year is the 7th consecutive season where the NFL is doing My Cleats, My Cause. I think I've spoken about this on our show in the past couple of years. I absolutely love this initiative that the NFL does. So basically, players collaborate with charitable organizations around the world, and they really just, help raise awareness for these organizations. And what they do is they get to wear really cool cleats, and they get to auction them off, and all of the proceeds do go the NFL does a really good job on social media using the hashtag, my cause, my cleats. You get to follow along. So I'm just like in awe of this every single year to see the organizations that these players pick. And they really go into detail. A lot of them get interviewed by the NFL. They go on social media and they talk about why they choose certain things. So just a couple of ones too here. We've got, some guys on the Rams, bringing awareness to pediatric cancer. On Monday night, Peyton and Eli did theirs. They had their own cleats on their show. Eli obviously has his own organization to, tackle kids' cancer. So he was doing that. Something that was really, took to me, the wide receivers for the Houston Texans wore cleats for John Mechie, who is battling leukemia. So they all had cleats, supporting him and supporting organizations that donate money to, people fighting leukemia and things like that. So that one's that really stood out to me. And there's so many of these guys. Like if you just go to Twitter or you go to Instagram and you just type in hashtag my cause, my cleats, you'll see what all the players are doing, all the reasoning behind it. You can find out where to donate for these organizations. So I thought it was really good. So Katie, one of our fans, one of our New York Giants followers, Dan Behan, actually tweeted last night, if you had the honor to do my cleats, my cause, what would you pick and why? So a lot of the answers, I'm reading this thread right now, the American Cancer Society, St. Jude. A lot of people said St. Jude. I actually donate to St. Jude every time around Christmas time. So love that. Pennsylvania Parks and Forests, Make-A-Wish Foundation. That's also another one of my favorites. Parkinson's Foundation, Breast Cancer Awareness. So a lot of really good responses to this thread. So Katie, I was wondering, I have two organizations that are near and dear to my heart. I was wondering, for you too, what would be your my cleats, my cause?
Give my entire bank account to the dogs and the pigs. I mean, I am a huge animal lover. For my birthday, I actually got to go to a pig sanctuary. So honestly, I think, take my money, piggies, because I love them. I got to spend the day with them. Such sweet animals, and they do come from really bad situations and do need rescuing. And then the upkeep of them, they certainly do quite a bit. They do run into obviously medical issues, everything like that. So the upkeep of having a pig is substantial. And so, that's probably where I would send my money to. And if I, was an NFL player, I'd be rocking hot pink piggy cleats
with the piggies. Yeah, so many animal shelters and sanctuaries in the New York, New Jersey area. So honestly, there's a couple of animal shelters that Katie and we always send messages back and forth to each other of cute dogs, cute other animals and stuff. So, definitely if you can't donate, I always say, if you can't donate money, donate your time. It's so easy to give back in that way. So my two organizations, so one of my favorite organizations to donate to, and I've actually done fundraisers for them in the past. It is called the Joy of Socks. So I'm a huge sock lover myself. I love socks. I have like 15 drawerfuls. It's very embarrassing. Socks are the number one item needed by homeless people. People think of like blankets, shirts, like things like that. No, it's actually socks. And it's very surprising. I found this out years ago. I would say like 7-8 years ago. And I started donating to them. I've had a couple of sock drives. I need to start doing them again. They're so much fun. It's such an easy thing to go. You can go to TJ Maxx and buy a bundle of socks for like $5. It's just a really good nonprofit organization, like out of Pennsylvania. So it's called the Joy of Socks. I absolutely love them. And then my other favorite foundation is near and dear to mine and Katie's hearts, the Giants' hearts. It's the Tom Coughlin J Fund. It's tackling kids' cancer. It's helping families that are dealing with that. So they're paying for medical bills. They're paying for things like that, everything like that. So I love the J Fund. I did a wine fundraiser for them last year. I'll probably tap into that again. That was super successful. So thank you to everyone who donated there. But yeah, those are two foundations that I absolutely love. So I love my cleats, my cause. Again, go visit that hashtag. Check out what all these players did. It's truly inspiring. Year after year, you get to see some really cool design work on their cleats. But at the end of the day, they're getting auctioned off and all that money is going to really, really good causes. So yeah, that's my spiel. I'm just really, I love that they're doing it again. So.
Oh, I should have gone first. I love how positive yours is. And it really is great. Like this time of the year, it is hard for, there's a lot to be grateful for. There are people going through tough times and tough things.
Yeah.
And like you said, if you're not able to donate money, donate your time. Absolutely. That very, very positive. Get it off your chest there. Mine is negative. It is football. It's just kind of piggybacking off of last week when we were asked what coaches do we think are on the hot seat right now? Like, and I do believe that target number one would be a one and done. And I'm going with Nathaniel Hackett for the Denver Broncos. And this is to specify that we've said it on the show before. The Denver Broncos have been incredibly disappointing this season. I think a 10-9 loss to the Baltimore Ravens with no Lamar Jackson.
Right.
I just feel like they're not competing with anybody at this point. I don't think they're capable. I think they have 3 or 4 wins, and I'm like, how did they get those?
Right.
They can't score. They have the weapons. They have the talent on both sides of the ball. They have what many going into this season. I always considered him a top 5 quarterback in Russell Wilson. It has been atrocious. I don't know what it's going to look like next year for them, honestly. But I do think Nathaniel Hackett will be out, and I don't know what to make of the situation with Russell Wilson. But I'm going to deem them the most disappointing team. And we can throw the Raiders in there. We expected them to make the playoffs. The Chargers, I think, have been extremely disappointing. The Rams, obviously, like winning the Super Bowl last year, have been disappointing. But I do want to put an asterisk next to the Rams because the injuries that they've suffered this season have been significant. But I think I might deem the Denver Broncos the most disappointing team of this season. So,
all right.
Whew,
heard it here first. Week 14, Katie deems them as the most disappointing. Well, guess what? They can't be a disappointment if you didn't really think of much of them to begin with, and I did not.
I definitely have higher expectations for them than you did, and I think a lot of people, were with me, and you were like, "Yeah, I don't know, I don't see it." So
I just listen. If they soared high, cool, that would have been great. I just didn't think I just didn't really see this big I don't know, theatrical performance from them throughout this season. So I mean, this is bad. I don't think I expected this. This is bad. Bad. But I didn't think much higher. So I mean, listen, it had to be said. All righty. Well, that concludes this episode of The Real Football Fans in New Jersey. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in week after week. A couple of things you do not want to miss. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. It's 8 and roughly 8:40 now.
I think this is a new time slot for them, by the way. They were doing 9 p.m.
Yes, I think something new came out, so I think that's why they switched over to 8. So, which totally screws, and I'm so far behind anyway, full transparency. But I'll
only 1, maybe 2 episodes behind.
Okay, I really need to catch up. And then Potomac is on Sundays at 8 p.m. NFL Week 14, Thursday Night Football is the Las Vegas Raiders against the Los Angeles Rams. Sunday Night Football, Miami at the Los Angeles Chargers. And then Monday Night Football, you have the New England Patriots at the Arizona Cardinals. So we don't have bowl games yet for college football. But your college football playoffs teams have been decided. And they're going to play on the 31st. You have number 2, Michigan versus number 3, TCU. Number 1, Georgia versus number 4, Ohio State. Unfortunately, I am repping Alabama tonight. They did not make the college football. It was a long shot. They could have, but it was a long shot. So I'm not disappointed. They are playing in the Sugar Bowl against Kansas State, I think. So that's okay. But this weekend, though, you do have Army versus Navy this weekend. I do know it's on Saturday, I think at 3 p.m. I don't know what channel it's on, but that's always a game everyone loves to watch every year. So you do have Army Navy this weekend. And I think that's just a tradition. So I don't think anything else is going on. But as we inch closer to the 31st, we've got obviously the college football playoffs. We've got bowl games coming. So we'll keep you guys in the loop there. But as always, thank you guys for joining us. And we will catch you next time on The Real Football Fans in New Jersey.
Thank you.
Good night.